Hello everyone, my name is Shilpi Verma. Earlier I used to be called Shilpi Suharya. That was before marriage, and after marriage I am known as Shilpi Verma. And I have done my designing from NIFT, and that was not just because everyone was going behind it that they wanted to do designing, but the main thing was my complete passion for the fashion design subject. And that was the main reason that I got into it. And I have various other degrees also, but major is fashion, and because being my major passion, and I've been doing it again, like been continuing it. I have a good experience of teaching mainly, and I work with the industry also. I work with fashion industry, and I've been teaching also. And my main thing is that my base is very clear. I know how to teach students. Main thing that I got into teaching is that I can connect with the students. I know how to tackle them in a class, and because when we are addressing a class, we don't just have one type of a child. We have various personalities sitting in front of us. Somebody must be very good in understanding, and somebody would be really poor in understanding. So main thing is, when you are teaching, that you need to connect with the children and understand their psychology and how to deal with them. That is the main thing. And in terms of fashion, sometimes children, when they get into this kind of subject, that is mainly because of glamour, but we have to make them understand that that is not the base of designing. It involves a lot of hard work. And if a person is very then it involves, when we are teaching the subjects, then there are various semesters involved. Then each semester has different topics that have to be covered, and each topic has its uniqueness, and so they are all have to be dealt with differently, but at the same time we have to bring them all together. So that is the main thing. And now let's precisely, I've spoken about how to teach and how to deal with the students, and the subject concepts are quite clear. So let's first move to the presentation, and then further I can speak on anything.
Press on a slideshow.
Or F5.
F5 might not be working. Maybe, or wherever there is a percentage given, the last code. The last one. Here, the other side. Yes.
Okay. So this is a precise presentation, and this talks about basically, when I was making this presentation, I kept in mind the basic standard of the students, and that if we are dealing with the first semester, then how do we go about it? And this talks about fashion in 20th century. This is a history related topic. So this is a small part of the whole fashion design course, and this will basically, this will explain how a child would know that if we are talking about inspiration, we are talking about design, then how would we enter in the child's mind and how would we encourage a child that this is how you go about taking inspiration and further move into designing, because history is again very important topic and it's a base of designing. If you don't know the past, then how would you get into the future? Okay, this is fashion in the period 1900 and 1909 in the Western world continued the long, elegant lines of 1890 tall, stiff, characterized and this is the Gibson girl hairstyles. So in 1900, in the 20th century, the that was the time of World War, and during the World War, then there were various men who had gone to war. And after that, when men had moved at the war front, then women were left alone. So that time there were various changes which were happening in the society, and including all those changes, this various hairstyles which came in fashion. And when we talk about the hairstyles, now this is again we see a woman with short hair. Earlier, when we used to see women were always having long hair, and that was considered to be the beauty symbol. But then, after that men had moved to war, then the first thing that the question must be coming in your mind is that why short hair suddenly? Then the reason that why we have short hair here, that is coming in fashion in 20th century, is because that the women are now getting into work. So earlier they were only, the activities that they were performing were household activities and just remaining at home. Now when there is no men around in the house, then the women are going to work outside, and therefore the first thing that a woman would get to do is that she get rid of her long hair. That means that now she's an active person. So, but that doesn't mean that if you have short hair that you are out of fashion. So here is one style which tells us that with the societal changes, the changes are happening in our lifestyle also, and this tells us that how short hairstyle, and which was named as the Gibson girl hairstyle, came into fashion. There were various other hairstyles also apart from this. Then corset, indispensable garment. Then these are again women with short hairstyles, but now they are wearing long flowy gowns. As we say, visuals they speak more than words. So therefore, this presentation has more of the visuals. The fashion silhouette in the early 20th century was that of a confident woman with full low chest and curvy hips. The health corset of this period removed pressure from the abdomen and created an S-curve silhouette. Featured form-fitting gowns with high or defined waist or ankle length skirts and long tunic like jackets, and required a straight line corset. The Paris correspondent for Vogue described this new look as straighter and straighter. If you would see in the earlier pictures, and if you compare them with this new picture, you would find that there is an inclusion of male masculine features in the garment. That earlier you were having these are long flowy garments, but now some of them, now we are moving further and we are adding the masculine features to the garments. This presentation just not talks about the garment, but this also speaks about the illustration part, that earlier how it used to be, and how the changes are coming in, and the detailing also, that when we look at the garments, we are not just looking at fabrics, we are having different details being added to the garments. That here we see the necklines they are raised, and then we have the embroidery also. Then how the use of laces has been, and the placement of embroideries, which again is an inspiration for us when we are going to design for women's wear. Then talking about the men's fashion. Men's fashion is again, we cannot ignore men's fashion, though it in the fashion industry it is in a very small part at present, but now it's going ahead and it's growing very vastly. And men's fashion is but here we are talking about history. So the long, lean and athletic silhouette of 1890, then hair was generally worn short, beards were less pointed than before, and mustaches were often curled. So this is the style statement that was being followed in the beginning of this era. Before this, okay, talking about Art Nouveau. So I have added these few slides because in journal when we are just showing slides, I'm just not able to if I'm not able to explain my mind clearly, then we are talking about a small art movement also, because we are talking about history in fashion. And this small art movement, it created a very different look altogether. This is known as Art Nouveau, a stylish decorative art, architecture and design prominent in Western Europe and US. Intricate linear designs and flowing curves based on natural forms. So this was an amalgamation of not just garments, but making your accessories and blending it with the natural forms. Natural forms in the way that when we are doing something like an earring or something like a garment, then it would have a natural form that first it was just flowy and you are just adding embroideries here and there. But now if we put in the elements of Art Nouveau, then we are adding the natural forms. It could be a form of a flower, or maybe animals and birds like butterflies. If you see some butterfly earrings, then that is an inspiration of from Art Nouveau. This is an illustration which tells us that how a headgear could be made with the floral elements. This presentation is only for an inspiration from only inspiration point of view. So these are long flowy garments. These are all illustrations that how the imagination could be explored. We are just exploring the mind of the child. We are not just telling him that this is the first step. If the child is not able to explore more, then you cannot get into doing designing. This is a garment which explains that how Art Nouveau can be blended with the garment making.
Shilpi, we understand from your resume that you've done NIFT. From where you have you done?
I've done from Gandhinagar, Gujarat.
And then after that you did textile designing from YNC.
No, that was not after that. That was before it. Because we have some time in between, so I utilized that time because I had interest, so I was just creating a base for it. So I've done a short-term course in textile designing, and after that I got into designing at NIFT.
So what was the course name in NIFT?
It was fashion design.
Fashion design, and it was 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
And this was when?
This was I passed in 2004, and since after that I've been with the industry, and been in teaching moreover.
More in schools, but
Not exactly. That was after marriage that I got into schools, and my major subject in school is fashion studies only. I teach fashion at school level
and
also.
yeah, you've written you are good with sketching, Corel Draw, and Adobe Photoshop.
Yeah, that's right.
So fashion studies plus Corel and Photoshop and sketching, that is the subject that you take in
No, at
Chaviza's
school.
public school.
No, the thing is, see, the subject at school, it is a 2 year. We can say it's a 2 year subject. It's an 11th and at
Well, right.
11th and 12th. So it just does not have. Mainly, we are not doing computer teaching. It is involving all the topics like pattern making, then draping is not there, but we briefly tell the students about draping. That's a small part that talks about draping, and apart from that we have history. Then we have two technical topics that we're covering, that is garment construction, and we are talking about pattern making also, and we are like teaching the students at a very basic stage, like they can make the basic layout of, if they have something in mind, they have the basic layout of garment in their mind, then they can bring it on paper and they can start creating. Like if somebody is very good in understanding, then that child takes it further. Otherwise other students like leave it at the level of just the basic.
So from illustration to pattern making.
That is illustration to pattern making. And then concept building with the topic of history, then various other topics like that we have at the basic years of when we are doing designing, like color understanding and all, which will have not just basic understanding of what primary colors are, but then how to build other color palette, how to build a color palette, and what is the connection, what is the need of it when you are designing, then
Do you
how to
also
connect
tell
all
them
that.
about different terms that are used in
That's,
fashion?
yes, that's right.
Like there's a very common term, silhouette, being used.
Silhouette,
So
yeah.
what does it mean?
Yeah, it's a query by all the students, even in the design, like I was teaching in 3 years program also. That time also students you ask what is the silhouette. So we tell them this is an outline of a garment, that when you are imagining a garment or any garment, let's talk about whatever you are wearing. So just the basic outline of a garment, that is known as a silhouette. And another question comes that if there were some 2-3 girls sitting in the class and they were saying, मैम मेरी स्कर्ट तो लंबी है, मेरी स्कर्ट तो छोटी है, तो ये silhouette क्या है? Then we would tell them that silhouette is that it is a skirt, then how it is, then that becomes the further exploration of it. That the skirt is the silhouette, then modification of it is that it's long or short, and then there are different names which are given to them. So that comes under
Can the
limits of
silhouette
time.
be of body also?
Silhouette of a body also, definitely there is
So
silhouette.
how do you explain that?
First, like we make them understand of what is a silhouette of a garment. Then after that, understanding the body. When you're doing the sketching part, mainly if at school level it's not in that depth, but if at the college level it is in depth, because the children need to understand the body type, because which type of body you are decorating. If somebody is a little very thin figure which comes in front of you, and you're giving that thin figure very closely fitted garment, then she would not appear as presentable as she wants to be. So you have to suggest according to the body type. You cannot just suggest your mind to any client or anybody you are designing for.
Can you name few body silhouettes?
Body color, of course, apple figure, apple silhouette is there. Then you have pear-shaped bodies. Then orange, pear, apple. So somebody is very fatty, and we consider that. And you have like these are all silhouettes. So right now I'm a little nervous also. So
And you have also worked with Ugan.
I work with Ogan, yeah. Mrs. Bhatia.
Can you explain little more about gypsum girl look? You were talking it about.
Gypsy. You mean
No, Gypsy.
It's Gibson. Okay, fine. Okay. Here I was just talking about hairstyles, and so if we are further moving, then I can be more specific.
Like who invented it?
Right now, I cannot speak now.
Alright.
Actually, I've got little nervous, so things are just slipping out of the mind.
Okay, let's do it. Alright.
It's a Gibson or a Gibson?
Gibson.